The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
We are back. Trending Topics News Radio with Tom Simon and Fred Wallin. I'm Ralph Tycho of the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, and the two gentlemen in question are here. Tom, how are you, sir?
Good to hear from you, Fred, and Ralph. Always good to talk with you, Ralph. Thank you for letting us talk about the issues of the day on Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. We look forward to this broadcast every single week.
And I look forward to publishing it. It is absolutely not only topical, but interesting, poignant, and really is an additive to the station. So I give you Tom Simon, Fred Wallin. Let's start with you, Fred, this week. You take it off first, and you guys have a great show.
You know, it's interesting as far as what's happening with the Saudis and the Turks in the United States, and I think Tom would agree that this is as messy a situation as you can possibly have. Everything I've read, everything I've heard is that our intel knew that Shelby was going to be killed if he did what he did, which was to walk into the Saudi in Turkey, and of course apparently 15 Saudis, including one with a bone-type knife, had come over to take care of him because he had written things for the Washington Post that the Saudis didn't like. The worst problem to me is that Trump had to know about it, that bad things were going to happen. And Trump's the guy, of course, who always says the press is the enemy of the people. So if you add those things up, Tom, I don't know how you feel, but I can imagine how you feel. If you have a president saying that the other side is the enemy of the press is the enemy of the people, and the intel says we told the president, that's the first question we have to tell, that there's a problem, and he doesn't tell anybody or nothing is done, we got a major problem, do we not?
Well, first of all, Fred, and you folks listening, think about this. The average guy and gal knew that there was a problem, and Khashoggi knew himself there was a problem. Khashoggi is the reporter for the Washington Post who wanted to get married, needed some documents, so he was in Turkey. He went into the Turkish, into the Saudi embassy in Turkey and never came out. And now there's reports that he was cut up into pieces and killed by the Saudi government. He knew that his life was in danger, but he wanted to get married, so he took it upon himself to do so. Everybody, anybody who has got any sense of what's going on in the world knew that a guy who takes on the Saudi government as a Saudi citizen who lives in the United States would want to be careful if he's on Saudi soil. And he was on Saudi soil. Being inside the Saudi embassy is Saudi soil. Now, the Reuters says, Fred, that U.S. President Donald Trump said today that it would be bad if Saudi King Salman or Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman knew about missing Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. He said it depends whether or not the king or the crown prince knew about it. In my opinion, number one, what happened, but whether or not they knew about it, if they knew about it, that would be bad, Trump told Fox Business Network. Of course it would be bad, Fred, but we know that they knew about it. And the problem is you've got this young prince who is dangerous, and you've got a king who is near senility. And so you've got a problem there, and the Saudis are going to have to address it because we can't just let them be killing people who live in the United States, residents of the United States, even though they are Saudi citizens. So we've got to do something about it. And your idea that Trump knew that he was going to be killed, that's just conspiracy stuff that I don't really care to deal with.
No, the intel said that that's their job. They told everybody in the government, the administration, that this guy was in big trouble. So, but let's just take it one step at a time here. what I'm going to say is the following, and folks, you can agree with this or disagree with this. I don't think Trump cares about the $110 billion that Obama made the deal with, actually, but the $110 billion that they were going to buy armaments, I don't think he really cares about that. That was his first argument, human life versus $110 billion. I don't think he cares about that. I do think he cares about his hotel and 7 other businesses that he does have in Saudi Arabia, and I think he also does care about the millions upon millions of dollars that Saudi Arabians have been spending since he became president at his hotels, because Donald only cares about one thing, and that's Donald. And that's why, even though some Republican senators have come on very strong, Lindsey Graham among them, and Sass from Nebraska and others have come on very strong against what happened here, I don't think Trump will do a lot because he doesn't want to lose the money, because that's all he cares about is how much money Donald Trump can make.
Well, I don't think, he does think about the equation of dollars as and how it relates to the sales of armaments to the Saudi Arabians, and I think he ought to be thinking about that. But the conclusion that you make, that he knew about the fact that Khashoggi was going to be murdered and cut into bits and pieces, I think that's the hogwash, and there is no proof of that at all. You folks can do your own searches. The Washington Post, who he worked for, believes that intel showed that perhaps he was in danger, but I'm not going to go that far, Fred, and I know you want to go that far, but let's wait till we see all the information.
So you're saying intel's lying? I mean, what I'm saying is that if intel tells the Washington Post that they knew the guy was in trouble, then the president had to know, because that's the first person they have to tell. That's their job. So you can believe what you want to believe. And also, you've got a guy here in Donald Trump who, I don't know how many times over the last 3-4 years, has called the press the enemy of the people. So not only did he know, most likely, he is saying that the press is the enemy of the people, which is antagonizing people in other nations to go after members of the press. So if you add these things up, Donald Trump has got a major problem, and he also has a major problem if any of these Republican senators who now so strongly are speaking out against the Saudis show some testicles and speak out against Donald Trump. Now, they haven't proven they have any testicles, but we'll find out.
Trending Topics News Radio Live on the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. Good to have you folks with us. We are here each Tuesday afternoon. I'm Tom Simon in Williston, North Dakota. He's Fred Wallin in Westlake Village, California. Now, every day on Facebook, we talk about the trending topics of the day. Rarely are the trending topics sports, the toy department there, as Ed Beeler of Superfan used to say. But today, the trending topic is sports. The Milwaukee Brewers collected a 4-0 victory in Game 3 of the National League Championship Series Monday night. And tonight, another big game, Game 4. I know, Fred, you believe that the winner of tonight's game will win the series. I want the Dodgers to win. I want them to win tonight and every other night. But I'm seeing a better Milwaukee team than a Dodger team right now.
Well, I mean, they're up 2-1, so I can't argue that at this point they're the better team. I just think the winner of the fourth game, if the Dodgers win tonight and then win Game 5, and they've got to split in Milwaukee, and I think that's possible. If Milwaukee wins tonight, I think they're going to take the series. As we indicated on our Facebook show, which soon will be 5 days a week again, but we were on earlier today, on Tuesday, indicated that I think a lot of it goes on to Dodger management. That's Fareed, and that's Friedman, and that's Dave Roberts making ridiculous decisions as far as pulling guys with one at bat because the Milwaukee Brewers switch from a lefty to a righty or a righty to a lefty. These are major league hitters. There are some major league hitters, like Puig, who actually historically have hit right-handers better than lefties. Most, that's not the case. 90% of the case, it's the opposite. That doesn't mean you pull David Freese after 2 innings or you pull Josh Peterson after 2 innings if they're one at bat because they switched from a righty to a lefty. I don't care if it's Josh Hader or anybody else. He's not going to go more than 2 or 3 innings. So the next time Peterson would come up, he'd face a righty. So my point is that goes on management. This analytic nonsense is driving me batty. You only have 4 or 5 extra players. I think Milwaukee plays the third catcher, so they only have really 4 pinch hitter type guys. The Dodgers are playing with 2, so they have 5 pinch hitters. That's not enough if you're going to be changing batters in the second and third inning. And also it's embarrassing. You know, you're David Freese. You've been a major league player for a long time. You've been a World Series MVP with the Cardinals. Getting pulled after 1 at bat in one of the games, embarrassing. It just emotionally, it's just totally embarrassing. And I also blame. Let me say something else. I also blame management for jumping Ryu and starting Kershaw in Game 1. It was Ryu's turn on 5 days rest, but Kershaw was hurt because he didn't get to start the first game of the series, and it's the first time in a long time that he hasn't been the man. Well, he hasn't pitched as well as Ryu, certainly down the stretch. So the Dodgers trying to keep him in a Los Angeles Dodger uniform because he can opt out after this year, jumped Ryu and pitched Kershaw in Game 1, and you saw the results. He didn't pitch all that well. Ryu didn't pitch all that much better in Game 2, but the point is he had an alibi. The alibi is he had 2 extra days of rest that he wouldn't have had if they had stayed in rotation. So I don't think you can pull something like this when things are so close. And believe me, the Brewers and the Dodgers are that close as far as talent is concerned.
So I agree with you on the analytical problem. You know, you and I are old school guys. We look for how the manager is able to see how his players are playing and a gut feeling for when to put the guy in or take him out. But those days are gone, and I'm sorry they're gone because I think that's true baseball. Now it's all about analytics. But before we go further into that, and I tell you why I think what I think is the problem with the Dodgers right now. For those of you who've been in a space capsule somewhere else in some other planet the last week or so, let's get you caught up with the Dodger-Brewers series. Game 1, Brewers 6-5. Game 2, Dodgers 4-3. Game 3 last night, Dodgers looked flat. They lost 4-0 to the Brewers. Game 4 tonight at 6 o'clock Pacific time. Game time on Wednesday is at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then game 6 and 7 Friday and Saturday if necessary. I don't know if they're going to be necessary. If the Dodgers keep playing like this, Fred, Machado not delivering really, playing hard but not delivering, and you know, this is what they got him for. They got him so that they could win this playoffs. And the guy who I'm really upset about is Puig. Here we go with Puig and his flippant way he plays, his attitude out there. You can have that attitude only if you're playing at the top of the game, the very, very top of the game. He's not. He needs to stuff the attitude and get serious about playing baseball and being a leader. Without Puig and without Machado, they're in trouble. The Dodgers are in real trouble. They look flat. They do not look like a big league team right now.
Well, I think that Gio Gonzalez is very hittable, and the Dodgers are quite capable of scoring 5 runs an inning, and you know, they hit 235 home runs on the season. That has not occurred very often in the playoffs. But my point is, Gio Gonzalez, and he wasn't happy either. They pulled him after 2 innings in his first start 5 or 6 days ago. So my point is, he's hittable, and they got the righty lineup in there. But here's a question. Okay, so they got Freese starting. If Freese hits a home run, his first time up, if Gonzalez is out by the 3rd inning and Freese comes up again, they're going to pull Freese. That's the insanity of what's going on here. And then come the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, if it's a 5-5 tie, the Dodgers have no one to pinch it. There was one game, was it the 6-5 game, where if they got around to the Dodger part of the lineup, the 9th, the pitcher would have to hit himself. I think, or maybe he did, maybe I don't remember if it got that far. But the point is they had used up all 5 pinch hitters. You can't do that in the second and third inning, and the Dodgers have done that, puts them on the spot. Now, Hader's great. I mean, if you've seen him the last couple of years, I mean, he is just totally dynamite. He's 98-mile-an-hour fastball. He's got a slider. He's impossible to hit. But the point is, I don't care if you waste an at-bat, waste an out in the third inning. Let's say Freese hit a double or a home run the first time up. He's hot. Maybe he gets lucky. Maybe he walks. Maybe he singles. Maybe he strikes out. I don't care. But by the fifth inning, if he'd come up again, I mean, in Freese's case, doesn't matter. He's right-handed. But I'm just making the point that this righty-lefty nonsense is driving me nuts. And, again, they did it to Peterson. They've done it to, Taylor for Peter. It's crazed. And I don't think it's from Dave Roberts himself. I think it's also Ziotti above him and Friedman above them all. They're big on analytics, and they're big on this. I think it's a very, very close series as far as talent is concerned. And I think both teams would have a problem against Boston or Houston, specifically Houston. But they'd have a problem against Boston, too. So it's not like they'd be favored, I don't think, going into the World Series. But you can't make mistakes here, and that would include pulling people in the second and third frame.
But the Dodgers are deep, Fred. They're a deep, big market team that is not playing like a deep team and not playing like a big market team. Now here's the roster, the lineup for the Dodgers tonight. Taylor in left field, batting first. Turner at third base, batting second. Freese at first base, batting third. Machado at shortstop, batting fourth. Dozier at second base, batting fifth. Hernandez in center field, batting sixth. Puig in right field, batting seventh. Barnes catching, batting eighth, and Hill pitching. So there's the starting lineup. The only guy I feel comfortable about, to be honest with you, is Turner and Freese. The rest of them have not performed.
But the only two he won't pull are Turner and Machado. Anybody else is capable of being pinch hit for. You said Taylor leads off tonight at 6 o'clock Pacific time. If Taylor hits a home run his first time up against left-handed starter Gio Gonzalez, the next time he comes up in the third or fourth inning, if there's a righty on the hill, Peterson's pitch hitting for him. And then, as deep as they're saying this is a big market team and how deep it is, they're not deep in the seventh, eighth, and ninth inning because Roberts has already used up all the players. You only get 25, folks. It's not like September when you brought 15 kids up or 10 kids up in the minor leagues. You only got 4 or 5 extra players. You can't waste them in the second or third inning. I'd rather have Taylor strike out against a right-handed pitcher. And there's no guarantee he will because he's a pretty good player. I'm just saying rather than use Peterson in the third inning and then not have anybody. And then you come to the seventh and Hader's pitching against Peterson. What do? You've used up all your pinch hitters. You have no righties left. So righties left as far as you have a major problem there. And I think that goes to Friedman, that goes to Zaidi, and that goes to Roberts. And Roberts can't argue with him. He wants to come back next year. So whatever they tell him, he's going to do. And I guarantee you, management is making the decisions.
All right, before we get off to some more news of the day, I want to talk about Kiki Hernandez and his apology for criticizing Dodger fans. Dateline Los Angeles, Kiki Hernandez, who appeared to pin some of the blame for the Game 3 loss to Milwaukee on the fans, released an apology on Twitter today. Last night, after the 4-0 loss, Hernandez said, "It's the playoffs. You've got to want it. Today just wasn't our day. We had no energy. The stadium had no energy. The fans had no energy. Overall, it was a pretty bad game for everybody who calls themselves Dodgers. It was a playoff game, and it didn't feel like a playoff game, not just because of the fans, but because of how we were playing the game." You say what about Kiki Hernandez? Should he have said that? Did he come off as some out of touch ball player with the fans? I believe that he should have just shut his mouth and played ball. You say what?
I think the fans can stand up and get excited, whatever. You still have to face Josh Hader. I don't think the fans have a whole lot to do with it, and I think I agree with you that I don't think a ball player ever should say something like that ever. because he's going to get booed by some players, some fans now, even with the retraction. By some fans, he's going to get booed now. I just don't think you say something like that. And the fans, you say, if you care, you know, I've done these shows for years. You've done these kind of shows for years. So, okay, so I'm a Dodger fan since the age of 5. So I will find more wrong with the Dodgers than I will with Milwaukee because I care more about the Dodgers, and I follow them closer than I followed the Brewers or any other team in baseball. So that's the fan. The fan doesn't understand that Hader might be one of the best relief pitchers in baseball. All they know is the Dodgers may have had second and third and no outs, and then they get 1 run or no runs because Hader is so dominant. I do think Kiki should Kiki play your game. You can play a lot of positions. You played them well. You hit 250-something this year. You got more than 20 home runs. I think you shut your mouth.
Let me tell you something, Fred. As somebody who's played a lot of sports as a kid, in baseball, basketball, football, track, the whole bit, it is not the responsibility of the fans to get the players up for a ball game. It is the responsibility of the players to get everybody else up for the game. It is the responsibility of the players to get the fans into the game or out of the game. And yesterday, I agree with Kiki Hernandez that everybody felt flat and not ready to go, but that's the players' fault. Now, he said today in his apology, on a serious note, I'd like to apologize to all who thought that I was blaming the fans for last night. That's not what I said, nor will I ever say such things. Tweets can be taken out of context when the whole story is not there, and that was the case last night. He finished it up. It was a long explanation, but his last paragraph in the explanation, again, what I said last night doesn't portray the way I truly feel about you guys. You guys are the best fans in baseball, and that's why we lead baseball in attendance every single year. I love you guys, and I'll never stop being grateful for the way that you have embraced the weirdo that I am. Tonight, we're going to give him everything we have out on the field and play the baseball that we're capable of playing and give you guys tons of reasons to cheer for. Shut up, Kiki, and play ball, huh?
No, I agree with you. What I'd like to see happen, and I think you read the lineup, Barnes is in there, right? Not Grandal, right?
Correct.
I'd love to see Grandal in Game 5 or, pinch hitting tonight or whenever come through. Because yesterday, again, after the 2 errors and 2 pass balls in the first game, he's got the bases loaded and he strikes out. And 3 pitches, I think. And, just hoping that somebody can make up for earlier errors. There was a football game over the weekend where Kenyon Drake of the Dolphins fumbled on the Bears' 1-yard line. That would have won the game for Miami. And he fumbled, and the Bears took over. And you saw him, but he was crying on the sidelines. He was tearing up on the sidelines. And then the Bears missed the field goal coming back, and so they had a chance, and he caught about a 15-yard pass, and then 2 plays later, the Dolphins win, and all his teammates hugged him like, hey, listen, forget it, we win, and the whole thing. But, I mean, what I'm saying is that the players are players, and the fans have little to do with it. And by the way, let me ask you a question, Tom. If I told you that the average ticket price in the National Football League, according to team marketing out of Chicago, for a family of 4 now, that's 4 tickets, parking, 4 hot dogs, and 4 Cokes. What do you think the average price to the National Football League is? Give me a number.
Average price, that'd be about $70.
No, for a family of 4.
Family of 4, just to multiply that. I think it's actually $400.
$513. Okay.
Yeah.
$513. And I was willing to bet you, for a playoff game in baseball, remember now, you play 16 NFL games, you play 162 baseball games, but now you get to the playoffs in baseball. I'd be willing to bet you that the number in baseball for a family of 4 is like $450 to $500. So I can understand the fans not liking the Dodgers being shut out. I can understand them not liking Grandal striking out and this and that, but it's still the players. They're still trying their best most of the time. And by the way, I saw yesterday Machado not running to first base on a ground ball. So even Machado.
He did that. He's done that twice. He's done that twice. All the money he's getting paid, and twice now in the playoffs, he's been caught not running out of ball. You know what? There's no excuse for that. I don't care who you are. When you hit that, put that ball on the ground, you need to run until you're called out. And I don't care if it's a routine ground ball to the pitcher. Run, and he didn't do that. That pisses me off, and it should anger any Dodger fan, any baseball fan, when he sees a guy getting paid the kind of money that Machado's being paid now and wants to get paid in the off season. He needs to be running.
No, I agree. I mean, and I was sort of shocked because I'd seen him play his career in Baltimore. Again, I always get the season tickets. I watch all their games too, but I don't watch every minute of every Baltimore game. So I'd never seen him not hustle. So I was a little bit surprised, and I'm happy other people saw it because star or not star, he's not going to be in the Dodger uniform next year anyways, because of the fact that he's going to be making $35-40 million somewhere, and they can pay Corey Seager like the minimum, based on how many years, 3 or 4 years now, so they can pay him $5 million versus $35 or $40 million. So they're going to save the money anyways. But still, right now you're getting paid big bucks by the Dodgers after the trade. You've got to hustle. I think the winner of tonight's game will win the series, and I think tonight's game will be a high-scoring affair. And I hope my guys in fantasy do very well.
All right, we got to get out of here because we're running a little bit late. But before we go, Boston and Houston, who wins tonight?
Well, it's right now. It's 3-2. I'm watching it. It's 3-2 Boston in the 6th inning, and the Astros are up. So, folks, depending on when you hear this, the game will probably be over. But unless it goes extra innings, the National League games are on. I'm going to tell you, Fox Sports 1, and all the American League games are on TBS. And, Tom, by the way, I can do the 3 o'clock show tomorrow, so I'll see you at 3 o'clock on Facebook. Explain to folks how they can get us on Facebook.
You can get us on Facebook by going to Trending Topics News Radio Live, Trending Topics News Radio Live on Facebook, and just click on there and you'll see the show, and you can put in Thomas Simon if you like as well. Fred, I want to just say this about baseball before we go. I believe that tonight Boston will go ahead and win. I would absolutely love to see a Boston Dodgers series. So would the networks. They don't want to see a Milwaukee-Houston series, that's for sure. And I picked the Dodgers to win the World Series. But right now, if you ask me, I'm looking at the Boston and Milwaukee playing in the World Series because the Dodgers are just flat as could be. Normally we talk more news, folks, than
one question before we go. Are you ready for this? I've got a very good friend of mine from Milwaukee, and I don't know the answer because I have not called him yet. Monday Night Football, he's got the Packers winning in the last second, 33-30, and they got the Brewers against the Dodgers on simultaneously. What do you think most Milwaukee fans will be watching last night? What do you think?
They probably were watching the Milwaukee Brewers.
Okay, I was going to say the opposite. I was going to say that even a regular season football game, I would still probably because of Aaron Rodgers. I don't know the ratings in Milwaukee. I never probably will. But my point is, I figure that more Milwaukee sports fans would actually be watching a regular season NFL Monday night game versus a playoffs. But I don't know. This was my thought after watching Rodgers do his thing at the end of the game.
Well, we'll have to check that later on. Folks, we appreciate you joining us. I'm Tom Simon in Williston, North Dakota. He's Fred Wallin in Westlake Village, California. Comfortably Zoned Radio Network is the name, and we look forward to talking with you each Tuesday afternoon right here on the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. Talk to you later, Fred.
Bye, guys.
This has been a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.